The road to the town didn't exist on any map. I realized that too late, long after the fog had swallowed the highway behind me. The GPS screen flickered once, then went completely black. No signal, no route, just an empty road stretching forward into thick gray mist. Eventually, a rusted metal sign emerged from the fog. Its paint was almost gone, but one sentence was still readable: "Welcome. Stay as long as you like." The town looked lifeless at first. Empty streets, silent buildings, no cars moving anywhere. But as I drove deeper, something strange became clear. Every house had its doors slightly open. Not wide, just enough to reveal darkness inside. The windows were worse, dozens of them, watching the road, watching me pass by slowly, like eyes that had been waiting for someone new to arrive. I parked near the center of town. The moment the engine stopped, the silence felt unnatural. No wind, no birds, no distant traffic, just a deep quiet that made the air feel heavy. When I stepped out of the car, my footsteps echoed through the street louder than they should have. Then, somewhere behind me, a door slowly creaked open. An old man stepped out from a small corner store across the street. His posture was stiff, and his face looked pale and exhausted, like someone who hadn't slept properly in years. He studied my car first, then my face. After a moment he slowly shook his head. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. His voice didn't sound angry. It sounded hopeless. I forced a nervous laugh and shrugged. "Don't worry, I'm just passing through." The old man didn't smile. He stared at me for several seconds before answering. "No one passes through," he said. The way he said it made my stomach tighten. Before I could ask anything else, he turned around, stepped back into the store, and locked the door behind him. Something about the man's words made me uneasy, so I got back into my car immediately. I started the engine and drove back toward the road I came from. The fog seemed thinner now, and the road stretched ahead like a straight escape. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Just when relief started to settle in, the fog cleared, and the same rusted sign appeared again on the side of the road. I slowed the car and stared at the sign. Same cracked wood, same faded letters, same message carved deep into the metal: "Welcome. Stay as long as you like." My stomach tightened. That wasn't possible. I hadn't turned around. I hadn't taken another road. Yet somehow, the road had brought me right back to the exact place where I started. I tried a different street this time. The roads twisted through the town like tangled wires. Left, right, another right. The houses all looked slightly different but equally empty, their doors still cracked open just enough to reveal darkness inside. I drove for almost 20 minutes before reaching a familiar intersection, the same small store, and the same old man standing outside. He didn't look surprised to see me again. In fact, he looked like he had been expecting it. "You found out," he said quietly. "Found out what?" I demanded. "That the road doesn't lead out," he replied. "It only leads back." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "That's impossible." The old man gave a tired smile. "Everyone says that the first time," he replied. He gestured slowly toward the empty streets around us. "You can enter this town," he said. "But leaving it is a different story." While we spoke, more people began appearing from the houses. A woman stepped onto a porch. A man leaned out of a doorway. A teenager walked slowly across the street. Within seconds, nearly 20 people had gathered nearby. None of them looked curious or surprised. They just watched me quietly, like someone observing a scene they had already seen many times before. "How long have you all been here?" I asked. No one answered at first. The silence stretched for several seconds before a woman near the sidewalk finally spoke. "Long enough to stop counting," she said softly. Her voice sounded hollow, like hope had disappeared from it a long time ago. Another man stepped forward, older than the rest. His beard was gray, his eyes tired. "I arrived in 1997, he said. A younger boy standing beside him spoke next. "My parents brought me here on vacation," he added. "That was 20 years ago." The crowd remained silent afterward, letting the weight of those words sink in. I laughed nervously, shaking my head. "You're all joking, right?" Nobody laughed. The old man pointed toward the road again. "Try leaving once more," he said. "Sometimes people need to see it twice before they believe." So I did. I drove out of town faster this time, pressing the gas pedal harder than before. The fog swallowed the road again, turning everything into gray emptiness. Minutes passed. The road stayed perfectly straight. For a moment, I believed I had finally escaped. Then the fog cleared again, and the same sign stood beside the road. I slammed the brakes and stared at it. Same sign, same message. Welcome. Stay as long as you like. A cold wave of realization spread through my chest. The town wasn't trapping the road. The road itself was part of the trap. When I returned to the town center, the people were still standing there. Waiting. Now you understand, the old man said. I stepped out of the car slowly. This place bends the roads, he continued. But that's not the worst part. The old man sighed. Sometimes days pass normally, he explained. Other times, weeks disappear overnight. He paused, glancing at the sky above the rooftops. And sometimes the town decides it needs someone new. What does that mean? I asked. No one answered immediately. Then the ground beneath our feet vibrated slightly, just enough to make the streetlights tremble. Everyone in the crowd froze. The old man's face turned pale. That, he whispered, means it's happening again. A deep rumbling sound echoed somewhere beneath the streets, like something enormous shifting underground. Doors throughout the town began creaking open wider, one after another. People slowly stepped back from the road. What's happening? I asked again. The old man looked at me with pity. The town is choosing, he said quietly. Every door in the street suddenly swung open at the same time. Darkness filled the interiors of the houses like thick smoke. Something moved inside those shadows. And from the darkness, shapes began stepping out onto the street. Not people. Something else. And they were looking directly at me.